The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and are not those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. The phone lines are open. Call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. It's time for Stewart Laser Talk with your host, Dr. Tred J. Rizacker.
I'm 5'10" and 242 pounds.
I always say this is the biggest I'm ever going to be, and I said that like 20 pounds ago.
A third of Americans are obese, another third is overweight.
Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country.
I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes.
Sleep apnea, heart disease.
Everything's hurting now.
It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
This is probably going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese.
It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac.
I want to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority, we are all going to pay a really serious price.
Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Tred Rizacker, and I am your host for the next hour here on my Slim Body Laser Spa's Health and Wellness Show with an emphasis on weight loss and how today's medical lasers are being used to help you to feel better, to look better, to heal quicker, to have less pain, less downtime. I mean, lasers are revolutionizing medical treatment and the treatment of very chronic conditions. And of course, that's the main emphasis of my program. I have an office. If you're interested in a free consultation, I'm always available Monday through Friday and Saturday. It's called the Slim Body Laser Spa, and it's located at 2311 Southeast Ocean Boulevard, right across the street from the Fresh Market, next to Carmela's Pizza and Wine Bar. It actually used to be the old Haagen-Dazs for you Floridians that have been here for more than 20 years. I remember going to the Haagen-Dazs, and now we've renovated it, and we're using it for laser-assisted weight loss, laser spot fat reduction, and laser body sculpting. And I can definitely say without any reservations that we are Martin County's #1 laser slimming center. Even Treasure Coast's, there's nobody that even comes close. We're going on our 6th, almost 7th year coming up. This new year will be our 7th year in business, and we've seen over 4,300 clients that have received laser weight loss and laser body sculpting services at the spa. Our program is 9 sessions in 3 weeks. It's 3 times a week for 3 weeks or 9 sessions. Each laser session is approximately 30 minutes. And then you have 10 to 20 minutes of whole body vibration. And you repeat that 9 times in 3 weeks. And you can lose 3 to 9 to 6 to 12 inches of stubborn fat. And, we obviously, most people desire their abdomen to be reduced. And we specialize in all those areas. But we can do abdomens, the side, the muffin top, the back fat that bulges up when you put your bra on or your shirt is, you see it on your back. We can help reduce the size of arms, upper arms, thighs, inner thighs, outer thighs, saddlebags, chins, knees, you name it. Our procedure is FDA cleared, is safe, and with my skills and my staff and our expertise, we're able to handle lots of different cases. Any medications you might be on are not contraindications. So if you're over 18 and you're under 100, you really can come in. You're probably a good candidate. I've had lots of clients that are in their upper 90s, 95, 96. We just had a gentleman come in who completed the program, and he flew P-51 Mustangs in World War II in the Pacific Theater, when he was a young man, and he's in his early 90s. I think he was 94, and had this stubborn belly fat he wanted to get rid of. And he came in and drove himself in from his living center over there, and he was just a pleasant, very sharp guy, and it was great talking to him. We don't have too many of those people left in our world anymore. All the World War II vets are getting older, as we say. But he got great results. We had a mom come in with her 2 daughters last week, and the daughters were, I guess, 22 and 24, and they, were looking at their new lives, and one of them is in college, is actively finishing up her degree. The other girl is working in a business situation, but they were really struggling with weight, and one of the girls had said that by the time she was 16 or 17 until today, she had gained almost 30 to 40 pounds overweight than she was when she was just got out of high school. So that's quite a weight gain, and lots of efforts and attempts at diets that didn't work or promises that were not kept, and her culture doesn't really have the healthiest diet as a rule, but people do know the difference between proteins and carbs and fats, and they understand. But it's still, we have food that we like and food that we're raised with and food that our mom made for us. So sometimes it might not be the best choices. Well, she came in and we signed up both of the girls, and they started yesterday. And we measured them, and we took some before pictures, of course, for us only. And we got them set up on the laser. And the one girl lost an inch in 3 spots the first time she did it, and so did her sister. So they within the first 30 minutes on the laser, they dropped an inch in 3 spots. So that was almost a 3-inch loss. And then we moved into whole body vibration, and they said, I've never felt like we were going to get results, and they were just so positive. So that was a wonderful, I can't wait to see them change and, change their posture and how they stand and their weight and their shape. It's going to be wonderful. It is truly body sculpting. My phone number, if you're interested in calling us on the old phone line, which is, still available, 772-223-5885. And we have an online presence now. It's slimbodylaserspa.com. Got a nice website. Click the contact page and give us your information, phone number, and you'd like an appointment. My staff will call you and set up that schedule. We have a YouTube account. You can see over 30 videos of our actual client testimonials, Slim Body Laser Spa, YouTube. And we got a Facebook, of course, with some videos there and also some testimonials. So there's really no reason why you can't find me and find my staff. So you can get the body you've always wanted. It's non-surgical, and there's no dieting involved. Now that's a pretty bold statement, in my opinion, but it's true. And that is because our laser targets the subcutaneous fat layer, the stuff that's on the outside of your body, not the deep visceral fat. So you really store fat in 2 compartments. You got fat in your gut, deep in your belly, and you have fat on the outside. And each of those compartments have specific responsibilities for your life and your health and your survival. So, I didn't understand when I first started practicing weight loss and learning about these fat compartments. I really thought that the entire body's fat storage was drained off, just like your gas tank, in your car. You got one tank, you fill it up with gas. As you drive, whether you drive to Fort Pierce or you drive up to Louisiana, you're going to pull from that same source, that same tank. And when it runs out, it runs out. And that's not how your body works. Your fat that you've stored from eating is a fuel source for your body. And it's something that you can carry with you, just like the gas tank. But there's many different compartments and different situations which will release fat from different compartments. And it depends on your age, whether you're pregnant. It depends on how much you exercise. It also depends on, when the last time you ate has a lot to do with how you lose weight. And it also has to do with the quality of the calories, the type of food you're eating, as to whether or not you're going to burn fat or not. So it isn't as simple as just stopping eating. I mean, I was doing a consultation with a gentleman the other day, and I asked him about his knowledge of weight loss, and he said, Doc, I come from the old school that if you just don't eat as much, you're going to lose weight. And that's all I really have to do. And he goes, and truthfully, it hasn't worked. Now, that's true if you go into starvation. Of course you're going to lose weight, but we never really allow ourselves to get to starvation. We have a tendency of, eating before we get to starvation. Of course, not eating, eventually you're going to lose weight, but it sure isn't easy for somebody who's functioning because we need calories for energy. So one of the first situations that we confront in all of my consultations at the laser spa is this realization that your body's ability to store calories or to make fat is an absolutely critical survival tool that your ancestors and you still rely on every day. That a human's ability to look for food, to eat food which makes fat, like sugary things and things that are calorie rich, and then the ability to store those calories is second to none in our whole earth. Nothing comes close to a human's effectiveness at doing that. And what's happened is it allowed us to survive many, many tough times, your ancestors. Times without food, times of floods, times of famine, the ability to store calories and then utilize them in certain ways is so critical. So when your body eats food, it stores calories in two separate compartments. We're going to keep it very simple. One compartment is your visceral fat. And your visceral fat is the fat which surrounds your organs. That's why they call it viscera. Viscera is Latin for organ. So organ fat around your gut is where you store your day-to-day calories. This is fat which is easily transferred back and forth from fat into energy, back into fat. It's your body's number one source of where it gets its calories. So the food you ate for breakfast this morning, the food you had last week, and the food that you maybe overate during the hurricane because you were stuck at home is in your visceral fat. Now, you have another compartment. And a good analogy of visceral is it's similar to the kitchen you have at home. It's where you have your best calories. And it's also where you lose and gain weight. When somebody yo-yo diets and you think of someone who loses and gains weight very quickly, this happens from the visceral fat. That's why diet and exercise is the best way to lose weight, because you're dealing with visceral fat. Now, there's another compartment which is just as voluminous. It can contain just as much fat as the visceral system, but it has a different purpose. And this is what we target at the Slim Body Laser Spa. It's called subcutaneous fat. Now, sub means underneath, kind of like a submarine goes under the water. Cutaneous is skin. That's what cutaneous means, Latin for skin. So subcutaneous fat is that fat layer that's just under your skin, in front of the muscles. So how do you know? I had a client yesterday who came in the morning and signed up, and she says, how do you know if it's subcutaneous fat? And I said, it's the pinch test. She says, the pinch test? I said, yeah, is it okay if I touch you, right? And so right there in that little belly there, we took my fingers and I squeezed it. I said, that's subcutaneous fat, what I can pinch and squeeze. I said, now make a muscle for me. She tightened up her abdomen. I said, now I poked it with my finger. I said, you feel that tightness? That's your muscle wall. My procedure targets the fat that's in front of that muscle wall that you're pinching. Now, I totally understood that. And it goes all the way around the side, the muffin top, the back. It can, you can pinch under your arms, your chin. So, and typically, when you're in your 20s and 30s and you're young and your hormones are good and you're active and you're looking to have kids and get married and, you're able to procreate, I think they call it, it's really easy to lose weight from both compartments. Visceral and subcutaneous respond easily, which is why my office is not full of, 25 and 30-year-old people. It's mainly people that are over 50, 45 or 50, or have fallen off and need a kickstart to get back into losing weight and being healthy, which the laser is phenomenal for. And so this other compartment, this subcutaneous compartment that I'm describing, has three main purposes. Number one is it's an insulator. It protects your body from hot and cold. It surrounds your entire core, from your ankles up through your inner thighs to the outer leg, the outer thighs, around the stomach, the back, the neck, the shoulders, the arms. All this area is covered with subcutaneous fat. And if you were from a colder climate like Alaska or the Pacific Rim, which was very cold, you would have higher levels of subcutaneous fat to protect you from the cold. It's also a barrier against infections and viruses and bacteria. You know, that fatty layer repels things which are easily absorbed. It doesn't allow your body to absorb certain things because it's fatty. It also prevents water intrusion. It keeps you from absorbing water. If one of your ancestors was to deal with a flood for a year where they were walking in the water every single day, that fat layer protects you from water intrusion also. The second reason for the fatty layer is to store extra calories in case you need to bulk up for a long winter or a long period without food. It's a calorie storage container which can hold a lot of calories if necessary. So it's kind of like, the visceral fat. One of my clients, she likes to go to River Ranch. They have a camper van and they go up to River Ranch. It's a lot of fun. Kids go, they ride their ATVs. I'm sure you know where River Ranch is. And she was really having a hard time understanding why, how subcutaneous fat stored these extra calories. So I said, well, let's use an analogy. Suppose you're going to the River Ranch just for the weekend, right? And how much food would you bring? And now their camper is at the River Ranch. She says, well, we'd buy some groceries and put them in the truck and we'd go. And I said, right. And it's only for 3 days or so, right? Yep, absolutely. I said, what if you knew you were going to be at the River Ranch for 3 months and there was no ability to buy more food after you got there? How much food would you need to bring? And she says, well, we'd need more than I could put in my truck. She says, I'd have to have a little trailer or something to put the extra food in. I said, exactly. That's what subcutaneous fat is. It's that extra compartment that allows you to bulk up with fat so you can survive a time without food. And it's critical with that. The third, and with that said, I want to bring up a little news article I just saw. And I'm always on looking for different things on the internet about stuff. And this was this is a bummer when I read this. She was the heaviest woman. Have you ever heard of the heaviest woman? She's from India. She was from India.
All right.
Okay. And she recently died. And she started her weight loss quest 6 months ago, where they took her from her home and they brought her into the hospital. She had the gastric bypass. She lost 600 pounds or something.
Whoa.
And then in the middle of it, she passed away from heart failure and kidney failure. And they said it wasn't because she wasn't following the rules. She just gotten so sickened by all the weight. So let me just read a little bit about this because, and you're going to listen to this, my listeners, and you're going to say to yourself, well, that could never happen to me, right? It's impossible. How could somebody become 1,000 pounds? Well, if it's possible for her, it's possible for you. It's not that she has a genetic malformation which caused her to become extra fat. The body's ability to store subcutaneous fat is far greater than you could ever imagine. So when you eat food and you overeat beyond your visceral fat compartment, you start putting fat into the subcutaneous, if you don't stop it, it can get out of hand. So let me just read this to you. A woman thought to be the world, this was from the newspaper. A woman thought to be the world's heaviest died Monday, reports AP, Associated Press, roughly 8 months after being removed from her home in Egypt. She was taken to Mumbai via a cargo plane. Her name was Iman Ahmed. She was 37 years old. She was originally weighed 1,100 pounds before undergoing bariatric surgery in India, reported the BBC. She said that she had dropped 600 pounds. A statement from the Abu Dhabi hospital where she'd been receiving care said the cause of her death was from weight-related conditions, including heart disease and kidney dysfunction. So here's a little bit about her story. She said that she had not left her home for 25 years. Prior to leaving for the treatment in Mumbai in February, she'd never left her home for 25 years. That her extreme weight had forced her to crawl instead of walk by the time she was 11 years old. She had to crawl. It wasn't an easy endeavor to transport her to India. The trip cost around $125,000 and required a cargo plane and a custom-modified truck, which she was lowered into by a crane. The doctors tell the National her diet was right and nothing could have been done differently, so we're all very surprised when she started to go downhill, and she only turned 37. Now, obviously, that's a rare case, but understand it's possible. You know, and maybe you don't top out 1,100, but you're pushing 300 and 400. That's a serious condition. And one of the very frustrating things is once you get to that point, you think I can lose weight, and sometimes you can't. It's gone beyond that. So just an interesting story that I read, and then you think about it. And I do remember about, maybe 6-7 years ago, they had an article in the newspaper here in Stewart where they had rescued a woman from her home. And I think she was plus 600 pounds right here in Stewart. And the husband was basically living off of her Social Security checks. He's kind of taking care of her, but she hadn't gotten out of the couch. Here in Stewart, it was over several years since she'd gotten out of the couch. She never could get up anymore. So she was fed, and she went to the bathroom and everything, and this couch was over in Stewart. So she had gone into cardiac arrest, and of course they called the ambulance. And when they got there, she was intertwined into the couch.
Right.
Her tissue had grown into the nooks and crannies, and they couldn't separate her from the couch. And they had to cut out the back of the house, and they made a special ramp, and they pulled her out with the couch attached to her.
Ugh.
And put her out, and then had to take her to the hospital. And unfortunately, she did pass away from the complications of that. You know, and that was right here in Stewart.
Yeah.
If you read the paper as much as I do, you remember that story. But so what does this have to do with the Slim Body Laser Spa? Just realize that you got to pay attention to your weight. Please, you know, if it starts getting up there, creeping up there, and you're having a hard time losing weight, let me know. We can work up a plan. Now, we are not a gastric bypass center. We don't deal with super, super heavy people. I'm just here to educate you and to teach you a little bit about this, this dilemma that we face as humans. It can be seriously dangerous, and you can die from weight. But more commonly, this extra weight starts to make you sick, makes you tired, it makes you lethargic, and it leads to something called type 2 diabetes. It's probably the number one cause and health risk of being overweight, along with heart disease, vascular disease, stroke, and a high risk of cancer. Now, we're going to take a little break at the half here, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you about my story of weight gain, of trying to lose weight, and how I developed type 2 diabetes myself. And I'm a weight loss doctor. I owned a weight loss center, and I got caught with my pants down and ended up with type 2 diabetes. Who would have thought? And then I found a solution, which I'm going to share with my listeners and the people listening when I come back from this break.